Good afternoon. I'm Summer Stephan, San Diego County District Attorney. Today, our office charged San Diego Sheriff's Deputy Richard Fischer in connection with assaults under color of authority on 12 women in San Diego County. The defendant is charged in 14 counts involving 12 victims, 1 count of felony sexual battery, 7 felony counts, and 5 misdemeanor counts of assault under color of authority, and 1 misdemeanor count of false imprisonment. The criminal misconduct charged against Deputy Fischer in the 7 felony counts of assault under color of authority involves the general pattern of touching of victims' intimate parts over the clothing. The criminal misconduct charged in the misdemeanor assault under color of authority involves acts of touching of victims' non-intimate parts over the clothing. Under color of authority means these crimes were committed while Deputy Fischer was on duty in his capacity as a law enforcement officer. If convicted of all charges, the defendant faces up to 14 years in custody. The defendant was arraigned a short time ago, and the dates were set for a readiness and a preliminary hearing. The charges span a 2-year and 4-month period from May of 2015 to October of 2017. Many victims waited to report until they saw that other victims had come forward. This is not unusual with sexually based offenses, but these victims also had the added burden of the offender being in uniform and supposed to be serving and protecting them. Sheriff Bill Gore and his department conducted a thorough investigation of this case. This allowed us to move very quickly in the prosecution part of the case. This case was formally submitted to the District Attorney's Office on January 22nd of 2018. Our team worked around the clock to complete further investigation, and we made our review of crimes that spanned over 2 years and included multiple victims a priority. Protecting victims of crime and delivering justice that is fair and equal is my mission and the mission of our office. Where crimes involve those who are in positions of trust, no stone will be unturned, as this causes tremendous harm to the trust in the community and the confidence of those that we serve. In my 28 years as a prosecutor, I've witnessed the bravery and professionalism of our men and women in law enforcement, and I've seen how they give up their very lives to serve and protect. Unfortunately, every profession, including those who wear a uniform, a doctor's coat, or a clergy collar, have bad apples. The true test for our justice system is how we commit ourselves to rooting out this criminal behavior and protecting vulnerable victims. I want to thank these women for coming forward and reporting these assaults. They continue to show bravery and courage, and I had the privilege of meeting with some of them. And they continue to show the courage to continue through this process and to trust us through the criminal justice process. These counts involve 12 women who were especially vulnerable. Some of the women were under arrest when these sexually based assaults happened. Others were vulnerable women calling 911 to get help with a domestic violence situation or a residential burglary when they encountered Fischer's advances. The victims' ages varied from late 20s to 60s. Again, this reinforces that crimes of this nature are not about the victim. They are about the offender and the assertion of power and control. This is why, over a decade ago, I pioneered a sex crimes division in San Diego that's been a model for the nation. We handle cases with special victims with compassion and expertise, assigning the same prosecutor from beginning to end. Specially trained victim advocates and investigators are an integral part of the team, and they have been working on this case. We also have a specialized unit that handles corruption and criminal misconduct cases related to law enforcement. This particular case is being handled with resources from both the Special Operations Division and the Sex Crime Special Victims Unit. This is how we were able to expedite this lengthy investigation in a month. We're committed to justice in this case and in every case that we file. If there are additional victims out there, we ask you to come forward and contact the District Attorney's Office directly. You can call 619-531-3965 with any information. I would like to thank Sheriff Gore for his leadership and his department's professional and thorough work during the investigative phase of this case. And I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Gore.
Thank you, Summer. The Sheriff's Department has worked closely with the District Attorney and her staff throughout this process. As I stated before, we've dedicated significant resources to this investigation so that these cases to ensure the findings were both objective and thorough. Our department does not and will not tolerate actions such as those allegedly perpetrated by Richard Fischer. His payroll status was modified from paid administrative leave to unpaid leave pending the outcome of this investigation. We continue to have the utmost confidence in the criminal justice system and will continue to coordinate with and support the District Attorney's Office as these cases move through the judicial process. I would just like to add that there's probably not a more serious investigation that the Sheriff's Department undertakes. When any deputy conducts himself in an inappropriate manner, it impacts not only every deputy in the Sheriff's Department, but every peace officer in this county and across the country. That's why we take them so seriously, because we depend on that trust between the public that we serve and law enforcement. We dedicated every resource possible to this investigation, and we will continue to do that until this is brought to its logical conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. And with me here are Annette Irving and Lisa Fox, who are leading the prosecution of this case. Do you have any questions? Yes.
For Sheriff Gore, why has Deputy Fischer not been terminated?
There are certain laws that I have to comply with, state laws regarding any administrative action taken against Deputy Fischer, and those procedures are being followed as we speak.
So he could be terminated in the future?
Yeah,
in the course of this trial?
That's a distinct possibility.
Sheriff.
Yes.
I know it's a tough time, now with the assistant sheriff also being accused. And from your heart, do you feel that something that needs to be done through the entire force in order to, one, let them know that the community has to be together so they can be trusting your police officers? After this is going to be a damage control situation that you can foresee?
Yeah, but I think, as the district attorney pointed out, I don't care what the profession is. We have 2,600 sworn deputies in the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. There's almost 8,000 local peace officers in the county of San Diego. Occasionally, one of these individuals is going to perform inappropriately, or in some cases commit a criminal act. I would ask that the public judge the law enforcement agencies, the Sheriff's Department, or whatever agency might be involved by how we handle that misconduct. And I think in this case, when it came to our attention, we put all the appropriate resources to bear on this investigation. Our first concern was the safety of the public, and Deputy Fischer was, within a day of us receiving these complaints, was removed from field operations. Within a week, he was put on administrative leave, and his police powers were removed, And as I pointed out, prior to the conclusion of this investigation, he was put on leave without pay. It's something we deeply regret, but it's something I think we have to handle expeditiously with all the resources at our disposal, and I think we've done it in this case, and hopefully justice will be served. And I do want to reach out while I'm in this public forum to talk to the victims and basically talk to them about how disappointed I am as the sheriff in the conduct of one of my deputies. And we take it seriously because we know that trust between the police department, the sheriff's department, and the communities we serve is so fragile, and it's so important to us to provide for good public safety in this county.
Sure, for you and hearing these women, and what they
I'm sorry?
The accusations from these women, how did that affect you hearing?
Well, it's devastating. Because this person is somebody that out there with a lot of discretion in his job that we trust to act appropriately at all times. And it's clear from the allegations, the investigations that we conducted, along with the district attorney's office, that was not the case. And it goes to the heart of what we're all about, and that's providing good public safety. And it impacts every deputy sheriff, every police officer out there that's potentially putting their life on the line every day to protect this community when that trust is broken, and that's why this case is so devastating.
When was Deputy Fischer first hired by the Sheriff's Department?
I don't have the exact date. I think he was a 6-year veteran. 6-year veteran. I don't have the exact date, I'm sorry.
And when did the Sheriff's Department receive the first complaint against him?
The first complaint was, let me pull that we received in our internal affairs at Sheriff's Headquarters was on October 24th, and we opened the case on October 26th. There was a reporting in September to a deputy in the field that was inappropriately handled for several weeks, and that's also under a separate investigation.
What would you say to concerns that some of these women feel like you should have been under arrest earlier, and they feel that maybe the department is doing something to protect them?
I think you have to look at the totality of the charge. Individual victims came forward gradually. The first allegation we had was of an inappropriate hug, and I think that in and of itself would not warrant, if it was done by anybody in the community, would not be something that somebody could be arrested for immediately. It would be a misdemeanor charge. I will leave the legal part of that up to the district attorney, but the accumulation of the different acts are what put this, I believe, over the case from a misdemeanor to a felony. But I'll leave those decisions and talking points to the district attorney.
So there was
and as soon as we had the investigation completed, we looked at the totality of the investigation, and the district attorney had a chance to review that. Then we expeditiously brought this before the court, and he was taken into custody.
So there was a complaint filed in the field in September of last year that was handled improperly, you said. And were there any complaints filed against him prior to that?
There was an allegation, pardon me, somebody reported that they filed a complaint over a year ago in 2016. We searched every record in the Sheriff's Department, every station we have, all of our internal affairs at our headquarters, our communication center. We found no record of such a communication.
Are there any documents regarding all of the different complaints that were filed with the Sheriff's Department that are publicly available?
I'm sorry. I mean, all of our internal affairs complaints.
Specifically, again, I mean, is this part of the case that is going to be made against him, or the complaints that were filed with the Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, that's what started the investigation, which we conducted, that was eventually referred to the district attorney's office. Yeah.
Sheriff, in your internal investigation you have conducted since, does it find and support the allegations that were brought forward by the women? In other words, does the department believe that he did what the allegations?
Well, we assigned 2 sexual assault deputies and 2 internal affairs deputies to work this investigation, along with individuals from the district attorney's office. It was our investigation in conjunction with the DA's that these charges were based on, and I'll leave that up to the district attorney to comment further.
We only file charges when we believe that we can prove them beyond a reasonable doubt. And it is the Sheriff's Department who submitted the case to us for consideration of filing.
Would the cases of the persons that were in custody at the time will be in jeopardy for any reason because of this?
We are looking at all of the cases. Most of those cases, it didn't result in any actual charge against the individual, but we're looking at that whole situation.
Some of these cases, it says the women were in his custody. Was that in a squad car or in a booking room? Where exactly did these alleged assaults take place?
Mostly in a police car, in his deputy sheriff's car.
Was he the only officer present when the alleged assaults took place?
Yes, in every instance, he waited until there were no other deputies around. And even when he returned to 3 different homes, he did that when no other deputies were around. And that's part of what we considered as far as his intent.
Sheriff, have you guys changed anything to prevent this from happening again? Are there any modifications that you would discuss?
You know, this frequently comes up. What have you done to ensure this never happens again? I wish there was a magic bullet that I could say, yeah, we're going to do this, it'll never happen again. As long as you hire people that have human frailties and make mistakes and conduct misconduct, all we can do is, when it comes to our attention, quickly investigate, thoroughly investigate, and if it's appropriate to bring to the attention of the district attorney, do that. And I think that's what we did in this case.
Sheriff, how do you respond to some of the allegations from some of the victims who have spoken with the media and spoken publicly that your office did not act fast enough in responding to the complaints in terms of placing him on administrative leave, not terminating him?
He was, as I pointed out before, he was immediately taken out of the field, public safety being our primary concern, so none of our citizens were at risk if, in fact, this behavior turned out to be true after our investigation. He was placed within probably a week to 10 days of starting to conduct our interviews. He was placed on administrative leave. His police powers were removed. And prior to the conclusion of the investigation, he was placed on leave without pay. And unfortunately, these investigations take time. We had a lot of victims here, and they kept gradually rolling out more victims, so there was more people to interview. And it's more than just interviewing victims. We have to interview people they talk to maybe corroborate their stories. And in a case of this magnitude and this importance, we don't want to make mistakes. We want to do a thorough and objective investigation. I think that's what we did. My concern was the public was not in any safety once he was removed from the Sheriff's Department and his police powers were removed.
At this point, if there are, I'll take another question or two in a different area. If there are, if there aren't, then we'll conclude the press conference.
That's just May 26th. When's the readiness?
In March 26th for the readiness conference and May 2nd for preliminary hearing.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
The unpaid leaves, when it goes back to January.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's safe to say, in January. I can't really be more specific than that. Sorry, Gary.
Is that it? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
His defense attorney, is that with the Sheriff's Deputies Association? Is he being represented by the union?
I don't know the answer. Rick Pinkard, is
Rick
this?
Pinkard is his counsel for the time being.
Thank you.